This is my first opportunity to get behind the wheel of the Mustang Mach-E GT. As you might know, this car has 480 horsepower, and this version, which is the base Mustang Mach-E GT, has 600 foot-pounds of torque. I'm going to drive the Performance Edition in a little while, but I can already tell you that this thing is an absolute blast. Just laying into the throttle, it really puts you back in the seat, and the difference in handling sharpness between this car and the standard Mustang Mach-E is pretty significant. So right now I'm on the highway on my way up to get to some curvy roads in the hills up here north of San Francisco. So it should be a good time. So come along with me. Let's check this thing out. My first impression of that is that this thing is a blast. It doesn't have those engine sounds that some of us want, but I will tell you this, once you start going fast, you pretty much forget about that and you keep enjoying what the vehicle is bringing to you. And this one performs at a much higher level than the base Mustang Mach-E that I drove probably about a year ago up in Michigan, and this one is so much more fun to drive. The handling is greatly sharpened. Obviously it's got a lot more power and torque, and it's just all around more fun to drive. And the impressive thing is that originally they thought that this one would have reduced range to get to that performance, but it actually has the same 270 mile range as the premium edition Mustang Mach-E. So that's a pretty impressive feat that they were able to pull off, even though it's got stickier tires and delivers more performance. Now obviously you're going to go through a lot more of that range in a quicker fashion when you're driving fast, but it's still nice that it's there, so when you're driving at more normal speeds, you really don't give up anything to get the performance. Driving either version of the Mustang Mach-E GT on the curvy roads in California is a blast. But what I will say is driving the base version with the tighter suspension does communicate a lot more of the road imperfections to the driver. Now that might not be such a big deal in areas that have great roads, but stepping up to the Performance Edition not only gets you better performance because of the MagneRide suspension, but that suspension is able to adjust and compensate for those road imperfections and give you a smoother ride on the street as well. I've had the opportunity to drive it around some really intense curvy roads north of San Francisco, driving it on the street. I'm about to go drive it on the Autocross, but what I'll tell you is that if you didn't think that the base Mustang Mach-E qualified as a Mustang, this car might just change your mind. A couple new features on the Mustang Mach-E GT, including a 5-second acceleration boost, which delivers more voltage to the motors and produces those 3.8 and 3.5 second 0 to 60 times. The other new feature is a new drive mode called Unbridled Extend, which pulls back the performance just a little bit so it can deliver a sustained level at a track event like an autocross. It does so by turning off the regenerative braking and turning off that 5-second acceleration boost, so the vehicle doesn't create as much heat delivering all the voltage to the motors. This mode also includes unique stability and traction control calibrations optimized for track events. In practice on the autocross course, there was no noticeable degradation in performance, nor did the performance taper off as we made additional laps. So Unbridled Extend definitely extends the level of enjoyment across a track event like this. After spending time driving this car, it's clear that Ford was able to really ramp up the performance of the Mustang Mach-E platform with the GT and really build a vehicle that's worthy of the GT name. That's especially true of the Performance Edition with the MagneRide suspension and the extra 34 pound-feet of torque and the 3.5 second 0 to 60 times. But either version is an absolute blast to drive, and if you get a chance to drive one, it just might change your mind about electric vehicles.